Life always confuses me. How about you? Okay, this is a follow-up animation to the how to animate or create characters like Swoozie, Alex, Clarke, and Animation Domination or something like that. This is our character we had before. What we're going to do is we're going to make some mouths and maybe a couple of arms, and then we'll animate them in Synfig. So let's start out with the mouths. Normally I have for mouths, I have multiple mouths. And they are here. Here's my examples that I run with. This here. This is from Domix, and this is the Papagayo file names that we use, and this is from some other animation website. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having all these different ones, I'm still going to have 10, but I'm only going to have open, O, and closed. So we'll basically start out with 3, and we'll just fit them in here, and it'll be nice and quick. And we'll see how that animates for the speaking, for the voiceover. So we're going to assume this is going to be the first one, and that's going to be the open one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this for the O, and that's not working. Why is that not working? Let's pick something here, and it's not working. Let's pick red. It's not working. Why is it not working? Let's pick drawing. Have something wrong here. What could possibly be wrong? Our opacity is down, so that's our problem. So let's go here. Let's fix our opacity to 100. And there we go. So going with that, let's go back to here and go back to there and get a circle. And then we can hit the F1 key and move it over here and see how that sizes up. So let's see. Probably want it about like that, and we'll put it over there. That's fine. This guy we can click and we can drag it out of the way, and that looks pretty good. This guy we can click and just get rid of. Is there any other objects around here? Oh yes, there's those objects over there that are kind of hiding. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that and get rid of that. So we're going to move the mouths over here, and we'll just get, let's see, the Bezier curve and draw along like that and hit enter. And I think we had them at 3 before, so let's go up here to fill in stroke. And let's see what the stroke is. It's only 1, so we're going to make that 3. Let's see what that looks like. And let's just put that up to 5. Then we're going to come in, and I think, well, let's see, come in here and double click and just get this guy in this. I don't know. Move it around. Hit F1, grab this guy. I don't really like that because let's just, oh, here. What if we change our roundness here? And hit F2. That's not looking very good. So if we hit the delete, and there we go. Now we can use our little doohickeys here, and that looks pretty good. So that's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit F1, and I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to go export bitmap. And I want to hide all except selected, and I've got it in my path here, and I'm just going to have open PNG for the mouth. I'm going to export that. Oh, really? It's already there? Let's just check that. Oh, it's there. I must have saved it. Okay, so we are going to then click on this guy and just call it O PNG. And closed PNG. Now, if we bring in our, you can see we've got them here. And that looks pretty good. Now we could mess with them open or whatever, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So let's just get rid of this. The next thing we're going to do is going to work on the arm. And we're just going to make some different arm positions. And oh, another thing we probably want to do is we want to save out the eyes. And I'm going to save out the eyes with the eyebrows. So, you know, don't get all freaked out about that. You could, most likely, if you're going to do a proper character, you would have different eyebrows and maybe different eyes, like blinking and stuff like that. But let's not worry about that for now. We'll just say eyes, PNG, and we'll make sure we hide all except that. And we'll get back to why we do this in a second. And as you can see, we have our eyes. Now, let's see. We're going to go work on the arm here. So let's have the arm. We were doing the arm scratching before, so I think we will leave that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our export, and we're going to export, let's say, arm body, and now we say get rid of hide all selected, and when we export it out, you'll see what happens. You see here that it's actually got the arm, but it's also got whatever is behind it as well. And we're going to use that. We're going to use that because we're going to start bringing all these different arms into GIMP, so we can resize them so they're a certain way, so that we know that the pivot point is going to be right here. So let's just get rid of that and say hide all accepted, and then just say, we'll just call them arm 1, and we'll just go through and keep calling them different arm numbers, and we'll get about 5 or so. And before we were coming in here and doing this, so we'll do the scratching, so we'll come down like that, and then we'll bring this guy in and change that to arm 2. And then just move this guy around a bit. Oops, don't want that one. Let's just get him like open-armed, and we'll just call that arm 3. And let's see if we can get him to come down. So shift and click, and we got them both down, and then we just need to organize this guy a bit better. Over here. Little fiddly. That's why I don't really like Inkscape for their these little handle things. It doesn't work all that well as I think it should. And let's just pull this guy out here. And like that. And that's probably enough arms for us. That's good enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to, we've got that guy saved out. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to, now we're going to have to select the person. So we're going to go here, 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 here. And we're going to save that out as the man. And let's see how that works out. Let's see if we've got all the parts. Now what we could do is we could also remove the arm if we wanted to. But let's see. And we want to hide all except selected. So let's see how that works. And that's exactly what we want. We want all that. I would say that's perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to GIMP now, and we're going to fix all the arms and the mouth. So I'll be back, and we'll be back in GIMP. All right, here we are in GIMP. We got GIMP going. Here's our, we're going to work on our arms. Let's work on our mouths first. So let's get our open mouth and drag it up to here. And I might have to stop this to, I want to put this in the layer group, and I can't do that with the screen capture software running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it for a second and drop it in there. Okay, we're back and done that. Now let's see if I can actually drag the other two into the same area. That's going to work. Oh, that worked. That's perfect. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that these guys actually, your mouths actually fit within the biggest one, and this one does, and of course that one was so that's perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our mouths and we're going to save them out. We're going to save them out in our phonemes, which is A, I, E, etc., F, V, blah, 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 blah. So A, I, blah, blah, blah. So let's go through them. So let's just go export as A, let's see. We want to pick the right one first. So this is going to be our open one. So that's AI. So we're going to export that. I can just do AI. And that's good. And probably E as well. And I'm still referring to this chart here. So AI, E, and etc. So let's just do etc. And the actual case does matter to Papagayo. And then we're going to pop down here. It might have been showing, but that doesn't really matter. So we're going to do O. And that's fine. We'll just replace it. And then U. That was from the original one anyway, so we're not worried about that. And then O, U, and I think it's WQ. WQ. After a while, you remember these. Perfect. And then we're going to go over here and get our closed one, and that would be rest MBP probably maybe even L. You might want to have the open one for L, I don't know. And definitely FV. Now let's see how many we have with that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call it _mouths, just because this is some, I have some sort of program that I use. It's on one of my other tutorials, but this is basically my way of doing things. Okay, so we can close this guy out and we can start off on our, don't need that. We can start off on our arms. Let's drag our arm up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this and we're going to increase our canvas size. So let's say 200 by 350. And we're going to center that, and we might have to make it a bit bigger. We'll see how as we go along. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get all our arms. And we're probably going to want to put them into a layer group. And I don't know if this is going to work. Drag it up there and put it on there, and it worked, which is perfect. Now let's just start getting rid of some of these guys. And what we want to do is we want to use the move and line up the joint with this here. And maybe what we could do is come in and change the opacity and zoom in, and then still on this one here. Just trying to get this like joint to be the same. So that looks perfect. That was already perfect. So I won't even touch that one. And this one looks like it needs to come down a little bit. And that one is way out of whack, so that's like standing out. And I have a feeling arm 4 is supposed to be going down. So we're probably gonna have to mess with arm 4, and you're gonna have to do this. But anyways, so let's go to our image and increase our canvas size. And let's go by 400 width and 700 height, and stick that in the center and resize, and that gets that bit. And let's see how it does for this part here. and it just doesn't get it. So let's go to camera size one more time and go to 750. And this time we don't have to center it because we're trying to get it on the bottom. So there, that's what we want. We're going to fix these in a few seconds, so don't worry about it. So let's just make sure everything lines up. Got the right layer. Yep. Got this guy. Yep, looks perfect. So we're going to come over to here, get rid of that, go to here, and go layer, auto crop layer, and it's going to go through all of those. Nah, it didn't work. Let's see, let's go highlight, 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 and then we go layer, auto crop layer. And what it's going to do is crop these all to whatever all the layers are. Now, I'm not quite sure if we can auto crop the image, so let's auto crop the image and see what it ends up as. And that's perfect, that's exactly what we want. So really what's going to happen is when we export these, they're all going to be exactly the same size. So they'll be a lot easier to line up and use. So let's start exporting them out. Just export that as ARM3. And it's okay to overwrite them. And if we mess this up, you can always export them out again from Inkscape. So really you're not going to lose anything. And this seems a little bit weird, but it's definitely going to make it a lot easier for when you are going to try and use it in Synfig. If not, you're going to have to try and line everything up manually. And you can also use list files to do this, and I might cover that in another tutorial. So that looks pretty good. So we're ready to go into Synfig next. As you can see, this is not Synfig. This is actually Audacity, and we need a script, and we need the guy to talk. So I'm just going to quickly record this, and let me just get it off here. Life always confuses me. How about you? And that's probably pretty good. Let's rewind that. Life always confuses me. How about you? Man, telemarketers. Okay, another thing we're going to do here in Papagayo, no, sorry, Audacity, where's my head, is I'm going to take this bit here and we're going to remove the noise removal. We're going to do some noise removal. So we highlight that area and then we just say get noise removal profile, and then we double click, and then we can basically repeat noise removal, and it gets rid of any noise from the microphone. And you can see here this is probably a click from the end, so we're just going to get that, and then we're going to save it out as two things. We're going to save it out as a WAV file, and we're going to save it out as a MP3. So say it voice and wave, and then we're going to export that again. And why do we do this? Well, because Papagayo only uses WAV files, and Synfig pretty much works better with MP3s. So we've saved it out twice, and that looks like we're going to go over to Papagayo next. Okay, we have Papagayo up, and we're going to find our files. Here's our voice wave, drag that in, and we're going to get our script, and here it is. Paste that in. Now what Papagayo is, if you make any changes up here, like this, and then you come and mess down here with the text, it resets everything up there. As you can see, it's reset everything up there. So what you want to do is get your text right first, and then you can start messing around with it. So let's just get this straightened up. How about you? You. How about you? You. How about you? That was pretty good. Life always confuses me. Life always confuses me. How about you? And that looks good. So we're going to save that out. And we'll save that out as life, I guess. And this is if we need to come back. And what we want to do is we also want to export it. And we're going to export it as a .dat file. And we can just say life.dat. And that's pretty good. It'll just .dat. This is for Anime Studio, if you're an Anime Studio user. But since we're using Synfig, we're going to have to go in and modify it. So now we're going to pop over to here. And where are we here? Here's our .dat file. Double click on it. Now I have it opening in Notepad. So what you need to do is you need to do FPS 24, because you had your frames per second is 24 over here. And you need to do PNG, and this PNG has to be in lowercase. I might have said PNG in uppercase in some of my other tutorials, but that is incorrect. And then what you do is you just save that out as a list file. So, and that's an LST file. And we'll just save that out. And there we go. Now we're ready to animate, and we're going to go into Synfig. Here we are in Synfig. So we're going to get our parts to our man, drop them in, and organize them. We need his arms. And we're going to need the mouths, but that actually this list file he needs to go into here, because that's where the mouths are. So we're going to drag that in over here. Did that not work? We'll drag that over there. It should show up here. That's perfect. And we'll go back, and we need our WAV file, our MP3 file. So there we go. And then we get rid of that. And now it's just a matter of organizing things. So click on here. And let's see, we got our arm. And what I think we should do is just basically right mouse button click and, oops, I don't want to group. I want to get these three, and I'm going to group them. And then I'm going to, I think they're actually all where we want them to be. So really what we need to do is get the group and drag here and put it right where we want it, which is right about there. And that's good. And this is our mouths, and it looks a little in the wrong spot, so we'll just drag that up here. And I think we also need the eyes, so we'll just get that and drag that over there. And there's the eyes, so let's click on the eyes. You always have to make sure you got the right layer with Synfig. Now what I'm noticing is that the shadow did not show up on this person. So I could probably go in and at a later time and just save out the man PNG, and then the shadow will come in. And let's just look at the mouth here. And let's just go along here. And that looks kind of right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the eyes and probably move it down. Let's see, the eyes and the mouths probably together. So we'll probably want to group those guys together. And we can just rename that to face. And rename this to arms. Whoops. I could spell. Unfortunately, I'm trying to type around my microphone here, which is kind of hard. And that looks really good. Now what we're going to do is with our arms, we're going to, and when I've done this before, is I'm going to come in here and change this to a constant. Change this to a constant on all of them, and there's no quick way of doing it on all three. I wish you could highlight all of them and then just change them all, but you can't. Right, now we need to, let's see, which is one's which. Okay, so that one's down, so that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick all these other guys, and we're going to change the alpha to 0, which is basically going to make them disappear. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make them reappear as we go along in our in our dialog. So that's really good. And what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to do a preview, and I always change it to 50%, and I don't know how long this is going to be, so I'm just going to say 60 frames for now. And let's see that render out, and it's probably going to render out pretty quick. I come over here and change that to 50% and then just drag this around here. Now as you can see, our character is bigger than our screen, but that's fine. Let's listen to see what it sounds like.
Life always confuses me. How about?
And it looks like we're just a little bit over 60 frames, so that's fine. So now we're going to do some really serious animation here. So the first thing you need to know about animating with Synfig is that you need to click this guy here, so this goes red. Now you're in animation mode. So I think what we'll do is we'll get the face and we'll just kind of move it over a little over here a bit. And you can see that this thing came down here. Now that's not going to affect anything. So I think, let's see, life. And this is one of the hard parts with Synfig is that you can't really tell where you are on the frames. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get my Papagayo file, which is the PGO file here. And I'm going to open it up. And I'm just going to go through and says, life always confuses me. How about you? Okay, so around frame 50, something else is going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the eyes up into frame 50, and then I'm going to move them. So, so get the eyes. Let's get to frame 50, like that, and then you could just move them like that, like that. Now, one of the problems is if we do that, what's going to be? It's going to be a slow movement of the eyes. It's going to be a slow pan, and we don't really want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to one frame before that, which is going to be frame 49. Come over here and right mouse button click and go duplicate. So what that's going to do is going to be a quick, so it's going to be a very fast movement, none of this slow movement. Now you could just move it over like that and maybe have like a slower pan if you want. I don't really like it. I like to have like sudden movements in my animation. So that looks pretty good. So life always confuses me. So we'll have his arm, let's see, always, I've brought it over here, always confuses me. So let's have him start scratching his head around frame 13. So we'll go to frame 13. And that's good. And then we'll come down to, say, arm 4, which I believe is we've got over here. And we're going to zero that out, which is going to make it invisible. And I believe it's arm 2. We'll have a look. That's scratching his head. That's scratching his head. Then we'll probably give it like 1, 2 frames, and then close that. Get rid of that. So we could duplicate here, and we'll go to arm 3 here, and we'll just make it 1. Nope, that's the wrong one. So let's just Control Z and undo that. Let's go to arm 1 and make that a 1, which basically puts it in. And then we're going to 1, 2 frame. Gonna make that one go away. So duplicate. Move to arm 2. Duplicate. And we'll just do this for a bit. There's a bit of scratching. Let's see where we want to end up at. Probably around, no, that same frame 40. So that's going to be a lot of this. Now another way would be to try and make a list file out of the different file names, like it works for, or we can actually make this smaller, but let's just go this far, and then we're going to go back to here. And let's look at arm 1. Okay, so 1, 2. This is very tedious, unfortunately. Oops, didn't want to do that. Unfortunately, that's what animation is, and probably the way we're doing it here is kind of tedious. Animate Studio works a little bit better, I think, but we're not working with Animate Studio. Trying to do it the low budget way. And let's see how that works over here. Ah, that's probably pretty good. Oh, we got an arm gone, so let's put him back. And let's, okay, so we're frame 29. Let's leave it there. We'll just put that one in there. And then what we'll do, how about you, at frame 50, we will open up his arms. Let's see, frame 50. We will clear that, get rid of that. And then we will make this one, I believe we want arm 3. There. And I think that is our animation so far. So let's just go to our preview. And we know it's a little bit more than 60 frames, so let's try 75. And hopefully that renders out pretty quick. It's not doing too bad. And let's see how it goes.
Life always confuses me. How about you?
Now, probably because it can't keep up with the frames on the voice, and it's also 12 frames per second, that you don't see all the mouth movements.
Life always confuses me. How about you?
And it also could be because we didn't really do all the phonemes. But I think that looks pretty good. I think it's ready for rendering out, and we're going to render that out by doing this. I'm going to change it to a WMV. Oops. Now you should be able to just type WMV and it works, but I don't really have that much luck with it. So we're going to go to FFmpeg, go to parameters, come down here, pick Windows Media 8, and click OK, and click render, and it's going to go off and render for a few minutes. So I'll be back after it's finished rendering. Okay, so it rendered out. Let's see where it is here. And I screwed up again. So what you need to do is you need to save your file, because I have no idea where it rendered out. And you need to save it in the correct directory. If you do not save it in the correct directory, it just goes wherever. So I'll just call this life. Did that not work? Here we go. Save that out. And let's just re-render that. And we'll double check the parameters. It is Windows Media 8. So we'll be back again in a second. Oh, as you can see, it is now starting to render it out. Video is finally rendered out, and you can tell because it says files rendered successfully. Took 70 seconds, so it's very slow. Let's just double click and play it here. And as you can tell, there is no voiceover. So we got to get Windows Movie Maker going here, or whatever editing program you like. I also use Movie Studio from Sony. Movie Studio Platinum. I use version 12. I didn't get really very good vibes from the newer version, so I didn't upgrade. And let's just pop this up here. And then we're going to need to pop up our voice. Let's just put that over here. And let's play it.
Life always confuses me. How about you?
And let's just quickly make a movie out of that. We'll save that now. And this is very quick. One thing I like about Windows Movie Maker, it does render really fast. Now let's see if we can find it over here. Where's my video? It's coming up here, I would expect. And there's my movie. Oh, we can play it right out of here. So let's go like that.
Life always confuses me. How about you?
And I would say that's a successful animation. So what could I have done differently? Well, one of the things that I might have done differently is in our character here, I might have saved the head separately from the body. And that way I could bounce the head up and down and give a bit more animation. But when I would do that, then I'd have to make the face. And what I would do is then I would have to have the head as a separate layer, say below here, and then put the eyes and the mouth in a different group so they could all move. When I move the head, the eyes and the mouth move with it. But this is actually quite a quick little animation for you. Give it a go. Good luck with it. Life always confuses me. How about you?